morning, good afternoon, whenever you're listening to this. Welcome to the internet's most sophisticated wrestling podcast, discussing the weekly aspects of it all, right here on
The Bald Monkeys Wrestling Podcast.
Well, hello and welcome to the Bald Monkeys Wrestling Podcast. I am Captain Chuckles, and tonight, a Friday night, SmackDown is going on right now. Some of us are watching, some of us aren't, but tonight we have the boss, Steven, over here, wherever he is. I don't know, my right, my left, my up, my down, who knows. And down at the bottom, we have Christopher.
Hello.
Evening, gentlemen.
Hey.
Welcome back to the boss, and good to get everybody back and talk some wrestling for a little bit.
Heck
After
yeah.
a few weeks of not doing that, and the chaos that was
The chaos that was the four-person train wreck.
Oh, we apologize. As a podcast, we apologize for the train wreck that was that podcast. We were not on our game. We had not talking to each other, and talked to each other. Yeah, see, we're not on our game yet. We're almost getting there.
We just took Jimmy out of the equation, so it should be better now.
Yeah, we took him out back. We shot him, and we're hoping that this works better. So we're gonna find out what happens this week. But Big Baby Jimmy's not feeling good. Hopefully he feels better. Feel better, Big Baby Jimmy. We're all thinking about you, not in a good way, but we're all thinking about you negatively. So feel better.
Yes. Well, anyway, it was quite a week so far of wrestling, and I think the first thing that we got to hit on is what happened last Saturday night at AEW's Double or Nothing. It was a great, in my opinion, it was a great show. I mean, I don't know how you guys felt. I know that we were watching all together. We all had our own opinions on everything. But as a whole, I really thought that AEW did a really good job with how they presented the night. We were all wondering how the Stadium Stampede match was going to kind of come to fruition and what it was going to look like. Was it going to be like some of the stuff that WWE had done and be all, cinematic and everything, or, what was it going to be? But overall, it was a great night. I mean, I had fun watching it with you guys. We had a couple of other friends that were on with us as we were all watching together. What stood out to you guys as like the highlight of the night, let's say?
I mean, I thought the flow of the whole night as a whole was great. I think they're finally coming into the groove for the most part. Highlight of the night, the ladder match was something. I enjoyed it. I don't know. Maybe the Cody finally getting a big win was probably the highlight of the night for me. Chris,
man, Lance Archer is good. That's what I keep just saying. Like, and he's older too. I think we figured that out. As well. I mean, something that we didn't realize was how old Lance Archer is in wrestling years. I think he's 40 some odd years old.
I think 42,
43.
42. But
Something.
The guy doesn't look anywhere that old. I mean, he's incredibly athletic. I think he's still got a big future with AEW as one of their big men. Did like that match with Cody. Cody, obviously the storybook ending, wins that title. Not a big fan of the way the title looks like right now, but supposedly there's more in the works, so I'll give them some time.
The title
ladder match was fun. Looks like a dinner plate. It looks like
they did well. I mean, they did say that they're still making changes to it, and they did earlier in the week, I think on Monday, come out with a updated design that's kind of gold. What are you shaking your head no for?
Because the internet trolled you. Because
Oh
the
man,
internet has trolled you.
well,
Twitter was all the rage this week because
whoever did that, I really liked it.
I'm going to give the wrestling community big kudos because yes, that belt is very unfinished. It's the red strap for some reason is what's in right now, and the silver just it looks plain. Something's missing from that middle piece of the belt. But
Yeah.
the Twitterverse went crazy about it. And then people started creating their own versions of it, which were pretty freaking cool to what Chuck saw. I mean, they were really good looking. And they were gold plated with different designs and some black highlights and stuff. People did a bunch of different things. But nothing's official. Nothing's been officially released yet. So I think
Cody
a lot of
even
people are
said-
doing their own versions.
Cody came out and said that whenever the belt is finished, he doesn't know if he wants to switch because the one he has now is the one that was given to him. He's the first ever, so it might not change until somebody takes it from him.
Cody's very traditional. I mean, he
Yes.
is very much about the tradition of wrestling, which is cool. I mean, that's what makes Cody great, and I still think Cody's the number one face going right now.
Yeah.
So back to the point of what I enjoyed the most. That Stampede match was everything that the Money in the Bank ladder match and what WWE tried to do, which was comical with wrestling and stunts and spots, everything they tried to do, AEW did it the right way. And I have to give Matt Hardy props for that because that guy is obviously the mastermind behind a lot of the things they do. Him turning into different versions of Matt Hardy, 100% the best part of the entire night. Sitting under the water with the Matt Hardy, fingers up in the air.
Matt Hardy
and
can
the
hold his
Matt
breath.
fact. And I mean, think about Ortiz and Santana just playing those characters and being goofy, but still being proud and powerful and still being good wrestlers. That match was perfect. Everything exactly that Matt Hardy is meaning for wrestling and what he wanted to do and why he left WWE. So really a lot of fun.
Exactly. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I had to jump out at some point in the match and I was like, man, I really hope that Hangman comes out on a horse. And like, what happened? Boom. He comes out on a horse. I mean, I think it was a moonsault off the goalposts.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
the running down the stands.
Yeah. There were just so many little pieces.
I forgot about the running down the stairs. That was great.
It like almost didn't make sense because in essence, you probably stop yourself from going faster by going down the stairs.
If that's the problem you have with the entire match, we got to talk because there's a lot more that went on in that match that you should have a problem with, not that moment. So
I know. There and the Twitter world, of course, had their split of
not just the Twitter world.
People loved it.
Twitter world. People ripped it apart piece by piece. People hated it.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed it.
It was fun.
Why
can't we just have fun? Why can't we just enjoy it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
loved Jake Hagar and Hangman Page sharing a drink together, then fighting.
Yes.
Made me feel like the APA
did you come to drink,
there?
or did you come to fight?
Yeah,
exactly.
Pouring a glass of milk with Omega there, and then the milk getting into the whiskey, which I'm sure that probably wasn't very good.
The one thing that for me I didn't like, and it goes back to something that I said way in the beginning when AEW started, and I was still kind of on the fence with everything that they were doing, was, are they going to push just the people who are basically the owners, the ones running the show? And my one
sign of the checks.
Yeah, the one thing that I don't know if I really liked, and I really like Cody as a wrestler, as a businessman, as a person, but I don't know if I liked him winning the title to be the first one. And especially, we talk a lot about, these big guys, big names, big guys coming in, and, they have their first real match, let's say, and, Archer loses to Cody, which, I mean, in and of itself is not a big deal, but I think the timing of it, in my opinion, might not have been the right timing for me, but still loved the match. I mean, I think Archer did a great job in the match. Cody did a great job in the match. I mean, it was great. Tyson, hey, nice to see you. Yeah, exactly. We see that
Tyson got tired.
We see that still, what, 10 years in the making. He still can't rip a shirt. If you saw Wednesday night, I mean, bro, you're Mike Tyson. I can rip a shirt.
As I'm looking over the card again, remembering the night, the match I didn't expect to be anything that I was very impressed with was MJF and Jungle Boy.
Yeah.
And the more I think about it, they put on a great match. Like, I didn't expect that out of the two of them being paired together, but they did. The way the card fell together was good.
I still think people will probably argue with me that their other All In, the first All In show was better, but I think this was the best top to bottom pay-per-view they've put on. Best show from top to bottom, most complete show. I can't pick a match in there that wasn't great. The Statlander Penelope Ford match, while it had very little buildup because of what happened to Britt Baker, very good, right? Penelope Ford did a great job. Statlander looked extremely strong. I think she might have looked the best she's looked so far in that match.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, top to bottom, just a great show, and we don't see that a lot from pay-per-views. We see a lot of holes usually in pay-per-views, and they just did a great job, and it was really entertaining. And what it cost you now to buy a pay-per-view, you feel like you earned, a great value for that. You put down your money, and you got a lot back, where we've very much been disappointed sometimes with some of the purchases we've made of the bigger shows.
Some of those WrestleManias paying like what, $70 something, $75 before the network came about, and then you watch the show and you're like, what what did I just see? Chris, I totally agree with you. The only kind of clunker that was the night was, I think, the Dustin Spears match. But
it wasn't needed. The card still was good with it, but it was not needed on the card. They could have did that Wednesday night, and it would have been just fine if they were going to do it.
Chalk that up to Undertaker showing up and tombstoning John Cena at WrestleMania. It's the same idea, right? It's just a spot. It's a spot to get the crowd interested because Dustin is still a big babyface. I mean, he's always going to be, because he's got that nostalgia of Gold Dust and what he's been, and he's still the first son of Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
And Shawn Spears, people are really getting on him about what he's left WWE to do, but at least he's getting the time to be out there and play a character. And I think he's owning that goofy character of comedy heel. And he's doing a good job. And wrestling needs a comedy heel. And whether you want to be that person or not is up to you. And I think he's perfectly fine playing that role.
Yeah. Now, the biggest thing of the night, and we didn't actually do a formal pick show or a pick part of the podcast last time, but we have a tie for first between the man that's here, Christopher,
this guy,
and the one guy that we've only seen once or twice or heard once or twice, Creamy Kramer. They both tied.
Doesn't exist.
They both tied with 5 correct matches out of the 9, I think. Although, as much as when the night was going, we were all giving Chris crap about picking the TBD. However, after thinking about it and everything, I think I would give the edge to Christopher and maybe give him a
Thank
5.5
Thank you.
to Creamy Kramer's 5, because he did pick that it would be Brian Cage as the one coming in. So
And Kramer's not here, so he loses. I win. End of story. Bragging rights right here. He can have a participation trophy. We'll get him best dad jokes or something. That
Grandpa
I
jokes.
win. I win. Yeah, grandpa jokes. Very nice. Nicely done. Inside joke. If you're in Bald Monkeys Nation, you'll know
Yes.
about that.
Exactly. But hey, look, my dog's here, everybody.
Hey, dog.
Kiva wants to say hi. If you follow Captain Chuckles on Twitter, you've probably seen her a few times, as this dog would literally just like to crawl inside me and live there for whatever reason. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway.
Weird.
So
Double or nothing.
after the enjoyable night that was Saturday, we came to the crap show that was Monday.
We did come to Raw, and
Chuck, you got to open this up. What in the world are your brethren doing? What is going on with the powerhouse team that was the Viking Raiders, that was the Viking Experience, that was the War Raiders? What happened to them? What are we watching?
WWE creative getting into it? I don't even know. I mean,
frustrating.
Stuff like that is what leads you to leaving and debuting on Wednesday night in AEW.
Yeah.
But we can get to that later.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't really know what they're doing with the Viking Raiders. I mean, I said it either last week or the week before. Boys, if you keep going down this road, both of you are going to lose your beards, because, I mean, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I mean, we talk about we want wrestling and some bits to be funny, but the Viking Raiders are not the team, in my opinion, and apparently Chris's opinion, and probably the boss's opinion, and probably Big Baby Jimmy's opinion. They're not the ones that should be on Raw, that should be giving you the comedy bits, the funny haha here and there kind of thing.
Like you have the Street Profits for that, but the Viking Raiders are not that situation. Don't put them into that. You could do it with anybody else, but other than that, that's when that whole thing happened. But the night had a decent start, I guess. I enjoyed Apollo finally getting the belt. It's been due time. He should have gotten it months ago. He should have gotten it. Him and Andrade work well together. I wouldn't mind watching him fight a few more times as long as the belt stays with Apollo. I think he deserves it at this point. I don't know if it's because they were gone for so long, but I missed them. I missed them, and I love the Iconics. They flow together as a tag team. The fact that they're getting back into their heel gimmick again is just they need the belt back already.
What did you guys think of the Nikki Cross promo that she cut? Because there's been a lot of buzz about that promo she cut.
I mean,
You've been a hater, I know.
Yeah, I mean, I am not a fan of the Leper Cross.
Crisscross applesauce.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Leper Cross. I mean, she does do, some things in the ring very well, but I don't buy the character personally. That's me.
Well, so
but the promo I thought was a good one.
And I think that's key what you said, the character. I feel like she's playing a character that not necessarily fits her strength. She's playing a character that is a little more giggly and poppy and stuff, and which Alexa Bliss is really good at playing that character and the heel that comes off of that character. Where Nikki Cross plays the crazy, psychotic, character really well. We saw that in Sanity. But for that moment when a little bit of truth came out, and this we say this so many times, truth comes out and truth makes the best promos, not just our truth, but truth of like what's actually happening at the time, what a wrestler feels like. It you could see it, and it makes for the best promos in wrestling. And she had some truth come out, and
Yeah.
I feel like they need to maybe take advantage of that and maybe start teasing her getting angrier and angrier and angrier. And maybe she can tap into a character that is similar to what Becky did. Not necessarily all the way, but similar to what Becky did. Because think about how Becky became that truthful character. She got more impassioned about not getting chances and having to fight for everything. And that's going to be similar with Nikki Cross. No one gives her the chance. No one gives her the credit that she can do it. And if she can kind of tap into that character a little bit, she might be able to tap into something that works better than being Alexa Bliss's little crony.
Yeah.
I think we'll see the fallout to that sooner than later, though. I think they're letting them run their course, and it's time. They feel like it's time for them to pull the trigger on her now.
Yeah, I still can't believe that they haven't, done like the Alexa Bliss double cross on Nikki at some point. I mean,
it's coming.
They're not going to do it.
Such a great heel.
Yeah, they're not going to do it when they have the belts. So, in my opinion, I don't think they are. So, I'm assuming that in the next couple of months they are going to lose the belts. Hopefully to the Iconics.
Who else is there?
Yeah, well,
I think that's how they do it. Is they lose it, and I think they have a match, and Bliss and Cross win it, and then the Iconics get that one more shot at the next pay-per-view, and they win it by pinning Cross, and Bliss gets mad and just attacks her at the end of it. The next night on Raw, she invites her to the ring, and then Nikki just snaps on her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could flip it and do the same exact thing and just flip it and have Bliss take the L, and Nikki gets so pissed that we fought for everything. I've been doing all this, and Nikki can get mad at her.
When in reality, if you watch their matches, it's most of the time it's Nikki Cross taking the brunt of what's happening in the ring and the bumps, and then Alexa gets that tag at the last minute, and then she's the
hot tag
at the end of the day,
Yeah, it's the hot tag. Well, Nikki Cross isn't the hot tag.
No.
Alexa Bliss is the hot tag.
No.
She comes in with that cross body. Come on now.
It's Chuck's favorite finisher.
Oh, no. But, I mean, yeah, other than that, I mean, Monday was, uh-oh.
Wait, let's give props to the best up-and-coming wrestler on the Monday Night Raw roster, Angel Garza, getting a big win over KO.
He did take him out on
character perfectly.
Yes.
Playing El Perfecto.
Yeah, but at this point, what are they doing? Like, they have them all. It's like they're doing it perfectly if they would just pull the trigger on like the Latino. It doesn't have to be the Latino World Order, but something, because they have them where they're taking people out. They're being that vengeful. They're being spiteful. They kicked out Austin Theory the other day, so they can build into more of what they need to do.
Yeah, I think we're getting well. I hope we're getting closer. Let's be honest, because I think we might be thinking too much of the writers to really come up with this the way we think they're going to come up with it. But think about how Seth Rollins is gathering disciples and building a faction around himself. The more disciples he collects, the bigger the faction that has to go up against him needs to be. And that's only a positive, I think, in the realm of how they're going to write in whatever this Latino World Order is. Because now you put Rey Mysterio in the mix. You had him take out Rey Mysterio, and now Rey Mysterio can come back vengeful and build that group around himself and be the leader of this group that goes up against Seth Rollins, and it can be that Latino World Order that we're trying to build.
I like a different approach to that, though. I like Rey coming out there being vengeful and like wanting, like, his revenge on Seth, and they're beating him down, and then all of a sudden, here comes out the Latinos to save Rey, and that's what starts it. Selena,
they just put their hand out.
You have Vega come out there, and she says something in Spanish, and here they come out and clear the ring.
I like both of them. I mean, I can't.
Let her be the vocal point. Let Ray be the leader, but let her be the vocal point.
I am on board. I've been on board from day one of you mentioning this. But somebody said something interesting on Twitter to me the other day, and they mentioned, what if you brought back Chavo to mentor Garza? And it really ties Garza into that Eddie, into that Guerrero heat, into that lie, steal, cheat. If you bring Chavo back and let him be that mentor to Garza as a valet, I think that's a really strong idea if you're going to let Garza continue down this path by himself. Get him away from Zelina, because I think Zelina and Andrade forever should be together. Like that just – it's like Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth. There's just supposed to be these two together. There's no other pairing. Miss Elizabeth went with Lex Luger for a while, made no sense.
No.
Macho and Sherry were good for a while, but there was always going to be those two. And I feel like Zelina and Andrade are like that. They're just, it makes sense for the two of them. But if you need to put Garza with someone to give him that little bit of lift, Chavo makes all the sense in the world to give him that heritage. Because right now he's his own background. He's just Latino. But if you give him somebody that can tie him back to that Eddie like persona, it would be perfect for Garza. I just love Garza. I've said it 100 times, but guy's good. Guy's so good.
He is.
But
I feel like Steven is thinking over there. He's in the thinker pose.
Dude, his gears have been in motion since he's thought about this idea months ago.
Like we pitched it so many different ways, and it's like they just won't pull the trigger.
Try this, try that, try this, and that.
I haven't thought about Chavo coming back. Like,
it was a good. I can't take credit for it. It was somebody tweeted it at me, and I thought it was a decent idea because I love Chavo. I think Chavo plays his character really well.
He does.
So, but other than that, I mean, I do take a little bit of issue with them continually calling this Edge versus Orton match the greatest
wrestling match ever.
I love Randy Orton, and he deserves all the credit in the world for being an amazing wrestler and having longevity. I love Edge because, again, Edge plays his character really well and has always been a great performer in the ring. But in no way, shape, or form do I pair these two together and call it the greatest wrestling match ever. When you have guys
we've
like
seen the
Bret
greatest
Hart
wrestling match
and Owen Hart. When you got
it was between Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit, and it was the greatest wrestling match I've ever seen. When they did their Iron Man match, oh man,
this is the problem. We can name 6 to a dozen different matches that I right now know are better than whatever they're going to come up with. They're going to come up with something
Brock
really good,
Angle
I'm
match.
Sure. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Ric Flair. I mean, there's so many matches I can go to that are gonna be better than this match. It's gonna be a good match. I think they're gonna put together something good because I think they feel like they need to make up for that train wreck that was the Falls Count Anywhere or whatever it was, Last Man Standing match.
Yeah.
But they need to stop. Yeah. This is the one thing that wrestling kind of drives me crazy on, is the shoving down our throat an idea until we feel like we have to we have to accept it. It didn't work with Roman Reigns. It didn't work with John Cena. It's not going to work with this. It was going downhill with Becky. You need to stop trying to shove it down our throat. Let things happen organically. And I have to give credit to the other promotions. They're allowing things to happen organically. And the main dog out there, pun intended, is not allowing it to happen organically. They are shoving it down our throat, and it drives me nuts.
And now I feel they're doing it with Charlotte Flair.
That was what I was going to say next. It's like with Becky gone, they have no drive for anything. Let's just put Charlotte in. At the same time, though, you're going to get
too much
desanitized to her. She's going to be on every show. She's going to get tired. You keep giving her title matches for each of the other titles. It makes it to where the NXT women's title is not going to be worth nothing because she's going to keep losing to these other women.
Yeah.
And it's stupid. I hate it. Charlotte's a great worker. She is. I don't have a problem with her working. If
She's
she's
the
the
best.
NXT Women's Champion, I get letting that belt be from show to show, but you don't see Adam Cole on both shows right now either.
No.
The women's tag titles, you don't see them on NXT like they were
Wow.
originally advertised to be. You don't see that crossover. It's they're trying to cash in on Charlotte Flair because Becky's gone. They have no other main name that they feel like they can pull off of right now other than Charlotte. Because for the longest time, it was Charlotte and Becky that everybody wanted to come see in the women's division, which
But
is
you
crap.
You got Sasha Banks. You got Bailey. You could try to build up Lacey Evans. You got Asuka. You got Kairi Sane. You got
Okay,
Naomi.
With
How
Kairi
many
Sane and
different?
Asuka, that's Vince right there. He doesn't think they're good. Just like with Andrade, but he hasn't had more of a trigger. They don't speak good enough English for him to consider them a legitimate thing.
Which is completely
Sasha Banks,
wrong
I think at
because
this point,
Asuka is the best thing going on Raw when she goes at the commentary,
yes.
Yeah.
and she's not even talking English one word.
I don't feel like they trust Bailey enough for some reason. Maybe they don't feel like she's strong enough in her new gimmick to handle multiple shows at the same time. And I think Sasha Banks at this point is looked at as very injury prone, and they're very hesitant to move her around when her get hurt again because one more bad injury and she could be done, and they don't want that.
But I could
Lacey
say the same
Evans,
thing on Bliss. Bliss has got similar injury issues,
and
right?
I think that's why they've been keeping her in the tag division. It's because they're afraid of that. And if it wasn't for Bailey being the women's champion, I think they would be in the tag picture too with it. And they're afraid to pull the trigger on Lacey Evans. I don't know if they just feel like she's not ready.
I feel like they've misused her. I think she's another one that would have been benefited from staying on that heel. Like she was a really good heel.
Yes.
Because she knew how to play that character and be that snotty Southern belle.
Well, not just that. They should have gave her the belt at one of the times. She's had, 5 women's championship matches?
Is it that many?
I think so. It's been against 3 or 4 against Bailey, and she had 2 or 3 against Becky. And she lost them all. Honestly, I think they should have originally pulled the trigger in the title for title match or the double title match with her and Seth versus Corbin and her. It would have been the perfect time for Corbin and for her. Give them a month or 2 with the belt. You could take them off of them, but that shows, okay, we have that faith in you. And by then, she should have, if they were going to push her as the baby face, they wanted to because of her daughter, she should have beat Bailey, at least in the second time.
Corbin should have pinned Becky Lynch.
Corbin should have pinned Becky. That would have been a great thing. Hit the deep 6 and pin her in the middle of the ring.
And he did the end of days to her, which I was half right about, but he should have pinned her. I was so excited when that happened.
And Lacey should have hit the woman's right on Seth, and it would have been perfect. Knock him off the apron as Corbin pins Becky.
Ridiculous. But here we are, not going any of those directions.
No. Hey, well, one other good thing that came out of Monday, Nia Jax didn't almost kill somebody this week.
The only good thing about that match was that power bomb they hit her with.
Yes.
The only good thing about that match. It's garbage. Haven't we seen Asuka versus Nia Jax for the belt before?
Yeah, we saw it in NXT.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. She choked her out.
And I believe Nia, the same thing should happen this time. But Asuka should do it early when Nia Jax is like doing her intro and she's looking at, and everything. Asuka dive off the rope, put it on her, choke her out, make it a squash match, get her out of the way.
It makes all the sense in the world for Asuka to be having a really big feud with Shayna Baszler right now. That should be the feud that's going on Raw. And I think we're going to get there. They're just
that's the thing. I feel like they have 1 or 2 more pegs left in Sonya Blazer before she's a bust, and they don't want that. Yes, I said their name wrong.
I know always.
I have to keep it up at this point.
But I'm amazed that you can perfectly say it wrong every time because I'm just like, one of these times you're going to say it right by accident.
Baszler.
You're like the Chris Jericho of this podcast. Alan Eagle. Alan
I love
Ingalls. It. Alan Angles.
I love it. And then I feel like the main event of the night should not have been the main event. The Street Profits shouldn't be pulling double duty now either.
It's a ratings thing, man. They're just shooting for ratings right now, and it's tough because I feel like they're working with a limited roster.
Because they let 80% of them go.
Well,
I digress. Okay. What's next? Impact next? I didn't catch Impact this week, but I heard it was a decent show.
I mean, Tuesday night was another great night of wrestling with a bunch of the matches they had on Impact. They had both semifinal matches for the number one contender. You had Ace Austin, who beat Hernandez. That
I didn't expect that.
Started the night.
Yeah.
And then we ended the night with Trey beating Elgin.
Night of the Underdogs. Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Like,
But then
and
again,
I mean,
Hernandez is old though, y'all. Like he's
well,
it's the idea of the lighter heavyweights.
small guys. Yeah.
Beating the heavyweights, which is we talk about this where it's like only the heavyweights can win. You have to be a heavyweight to win or be the top guy, and Impact is doing something different. They're giving these, underdogs a shot. But more importantly on Impact, what did you think of another cinematic match with the North defeating Cody Deaner and who was the other guy?
Wheels.
Wheels.
Yeah.
Because he had a Matchbox car or something, or some car. It was just a bigger dude. I'm not sure who the actual wrestler's name was. I apologize to whomever that wrestler was, but another cinematic match where the North again looks strong. They're a sneaky tag team that people really should be talking more about.
Yeah.
Ethan Page, amazing on the mic, and Josh Alexander might be one of the best technical wrestlers I've seen since the British Bulldogs. I mean, he is so sound in the ring with some of his movements. It's incredible.
No, that's putting him in some good company.
He's good, man. He's really good, and he's got the technique down, and he doesn't have any extra motion. I think that's what makes him interesting to watch. So
with Impact, what is next for Impact? What do they need to reestablish themselves? Because people are getting back into them. We've been talking about them more over the last couple of months.
Yes.
Back in the day when they were getting really big, they had that working relationship with New Japan. Do you think they try to get a working relationship with, I don't know, AEW or New Japan again?
Not AEW. I don't see that happening.
You don't think AEW would work? Because I know AEW wanted one with New Japan at a point, but I don't think it panned out.
No.
I think something with something with AEW or New Japan would work, or Impact and New Japan would work. But I don't think the two promotions in the two larger promotions in the U.S. I don't think would.
But that's my thinking, though. Is Impact considered a larger organization now? Because honestly, at this point, they were decent size, but I feel like they're more of a Ring of Honor. They're right above Ring of Honor in their size now, to where they have more notoriety, but they're not big anymore.
Not to mention their women's division, man. They are building a women's division that is getting more and more impressive, and picked up another free agent in Deonna Purrazzo. I mean, they have the potential to surpass what NXT has done in the women's division.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if they could get a working relationship with AEW just for the women's wrestling side, it could benefit both of them, because it would get them more exposure and it would help the women's side.
This is just perception, and it's that Marty's in Ring of Honor and NWA, right? He's doing those two kind of things right now.
Yeah.
I see Ring of Honor and NWA continuing a partnership with the potential of AEW folding into that, because there's a lot of history between Ring of Honor and a lot of the AEW guys.
Yes.
I see that happening. So I put those three in the same boat together. So I think your point of Impact and New Japan could make sense, because I think New Japan would want to go their own direction, and
it would.
Folding in with New Japan, Impact and New Japan, that could be a good partnership for both of them. They would both benefit. New Japan could have a location to put on shows or send wrestlers to, and vice versa. Impact can, get that footprint outside of the United States that nobody else is really touching right now except New Japan. If you think about it, WWE is the only ones that are really going overseas right now. AEW is not really doing that yet. They're going on a boat, on a cruise with Jericho, but they're not venturing into any other markets just yet. Now they have people that have been in those markets. You point at Lance Archer, you point at Cody, you point at all these guys in the elite, right? Jericho, but they're not necessarily connected with them anymore. So,
and that's the thing is they're not to the point to be able to do that yet. Give them a year or two with the traction they have, where they keep moving. I could see them having a couple shows here and there overseas, but Impact used to have that relationship with them. Is it Bound for Glory? Is there like their
yeah.
WrestleMania? I
Well,
remember
is it Bound for Glory or Slammiversary? Because I know there's those
Slam.
two.
I think it's one of them.
Yeah, but I
One
think
of
you're at
them's
Bound for Glory.
WrestleMania, one's SummerSlam, but
Yeah,
they had one of them from the Tokyo Dome at one point,
yeah.
and it was I don't even remember who. Angle was the champion at the time, and him and Joe versus somebody in a triple threat match from New Japan. And it was amazing, and the Dudleys won the IWGP tag titles when they were
They were
already
on to
the
something
Impact.
then.
It was amazing, and just they'd go over there for a month, and they would have 4 or 5 episodes and a pay-per-view over there, and it was amazing. I loved it. I was so into Impact at that time, and then they brought in Hogan and all that went just
Well, yeah,
crap.
that was the twilight years of what they were doing with TNA. I think Moose is doing a good job there. He's playing a very good character in that just pompous ass of a champion that he is. I think he's doing really
Now,
well.
now
They've built a
is he doing it better than Bobby Lashley did when he was there? Because that's what Bobby's
100%,
character was.
100%. I've watched Moose kind of grow into what he's doing right now as a character from before Impact, when it was still TNA and he was still working with guys over there. Moose is doing it really well, and I got to give Josh Matthews a lot of credit. He's playing off him really, really well as a commentator, and giving Moose that heat as the pompous character that he's playing. So I think they're playing off each other really well, and bringing back the TNA championship while you can't have the Impact champion there made a lot of sense. They're taking advantage of the hand they were dealt in this COVID world, and the North having matches in that little arena in Canada have been hilarious. And with this Diener's match, a cinematic match has been great. They're building a knockouts division that might be the best women's division going right now. And they still have the X division, which I'm a little biased, but Chris Bay is freaking awesome. You got Mac. I can name 6 or 7 guys in that X division that are going to be incredible as they have more time to work with each other. Even the match that just happened this week with Cousin Jake, that dude can be in any division he wants. He did some weird tombstone pile driver. Did you see that, Chuck? That thing was ridiculous. So I think at this moment right now, Impact next to AEW might have the most potential of any promotion right now if they play their cards right and continue down this path. My issue with them always has been the way they do their production. Yeah. I'm not sold on it. It's NXT does it, AEW does it. This like lack of production being actual production, where they do like these, what do they call them? Where it's like not well organized video, where it's almost like
the shaky cam.
Yeah, it's not Blair Witch, but just the idea that like it's like on a street, like street side like video, like, oh, I'm just gonna come up with a video and we're gonna video this, and it's almost like there's a word for it, but I'm not keen on that when it's all of it, because look at their production, it's all of it. There's no high tech production in Impact, and if they added that little bit of high tech production, I think that would help them. It would put them over the top a little bit as being a more recognized promotion right now. I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong. I just think that could make it better.
Well, they just got to get to that point. Then they've had so much just bad energy around them for money issues over the years that they have to get to a point where they can afford to do that, and they're building to it. So they're getting a lot more traction online. They're getting better names. They're keeping people happy. It seems to be working.
And there's plenty of names out there still to get. That's the other thing too. This is actually a time where a lot of bodies are out there and available because of the people that have been released by WWE, but there's also tons of independent wrestlers right now that are dying for contracts because of what we went through, because they did not have contracts for what we just went through, and they will be happy to sign a contract, and it's the time to jump into a promotion and be part of something, because just in case you got that contract.
Yep.
Okay, so What's next?
Oh
Chuck,
man.
Chuck, did we have I just want to take a break from the list of. I pretend there's a list next to me, the list of questions, but I believe we had a couple of comments made on the Twitterverse out there for things that they wanted us to talk about on the podcast, because we went out and we tweeted that we were going to record tonight. Big Baby Jimmy, I believe, tweeted from the main account, and we had a few people reach out and point out some things they would like to hear our take on. So, Captain Chuckles, what were those topics? Well, let's make sure we get into them before we roll down the rest of this list.
I am bringing it up right now. So we actually went over one of them. This was a question.
Then don't touch on that one.
Huh?
I said, don't touch on that one.
No, I'm just saying we already went over the one about socially distant Ishon. I might have butchered your name. He asked us what's our current take on Impact. I think we kind of covered that.
That was for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was for you. We knew it. That was for you.
The next question from Richard Assen, again, could butcher your name.
Hey, Richard.
Why do you think HBK came back for the tag match?
A little bit of the moolah. A little bit of the moolah. Yeah.
Bags of money.
Yeah. So what he's referring to, obviously, if you've lived under a rock for a while, is the idea that HBK was retired by The Undertaker, and 9 years later...
Happily retired.
Happily retired. I believe it's 9 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. 9 years later, they have a situation where they want to have Undertaker versus Triple H. Well, they mix in that, instead of Undertaker versus Triple H, let's do Undertaker and Kane, Brothers of Destruction, versus Triple H and HBK, and let's do it in Saudi Arabia.
DX.
So they throw a whole bunch of money at Sean, and I guess he said yes. I
said no for a while. He kept saying no, but they just added more and
it
more
had to be the money.
more.
I hate to say that because I love Sean. I'm a huge HBK fan, but it had to be because of the money, right? Or I don't think he had the itch to wrestle, because even after that bad match, like there's the Undertaker who wants to make up for a bad match. There's HBK that's just like, I should. He probably would tell you right now, I shouldn't have came back. I shouldn't have done it.
Undertaker said it himself. He's jealous of HBK because he could just walk away and be done. To where he can't. Just the same thing with Ric Flair. Ric Flair couldn't just be done.
I just hate that it's because of the money that HBK did it. Because I'm not going to sit here and remember that as his last match ever. I hope he realizes that. I hope HBK, if you're watching this podcast, which I'm sure you are, I hope you realize that I'm not going to remember that as your last match. Your last match will be
at the same time.
Amazing match you went out on against the Undertaker.
At the same time, what do we refer to the Saudi Arabia shows? They're just glorified house shows.
They're house shows. I agree.
Of which I think the Saudi people still haven't paid Vince for, but who knows?
So statistically, they're not even counted in win-loss records. So
no.
So who knows?
So unfortunately, I think the answer to that is money. Yeah.
So the last question that we have here that came up was from the T3 Podcast Network.
I know those guys. Hey, T3.
Who T3 meet T-Row. T-Row meet T3. So they ask, rank the 4 non-in-ring matches that have recently happened. They have the Boneyard match. They have Cena versus Bray Wyatt.
Firefly Funhouse.
They have Edge versus Orton. And then the one that we just saw on Saturday, the Stadium Stampede.
Can we replace Edge and Orton with the North? because
that was not part of the question.
Okay, well, I'll answer first. That one's at the bottom. That one's last. Because I would replace what we just saw on Tuesday night, and that's better than that. Edge and Orton match. The Stadium Stampede match for me is number 2. And I say this because the Firefly Funhouse match I was literally on the edge of my seat watching that the entire time. That was the best thing I've seen so far in cinematic matches. I did like the Boneyard match. I thought it was good, but I don't think it was better than the Stampede match or the Firefly Funhouse. So my ranking in the weird order that I just gave it to you in was number 1, Firefly Funhouse, number 2, Stadium Stampede, which was a blast, number 3, the Boneyard match, and number 4, the North.
I agree, honestly. I don't see anything beating the Firefly Funhouse match.
It was just awesome, man. Like it played on nostalgia. It played on
creative freedom.
Creative freedom. Thank you. Took the words out of my mouth. Like just and there was no wrestling in it. Right? There was just throwbacks and throwbacks and it was a non-wrestling match that gave you all the feeling you would normally have in a great wrestling match, the ups and downs of a great wrestling match.
And then they ruined it by having him get beat by Braun Strowman.
Yeah, he had to go have a kid.
Yeah.
Another one?
Yeah, he just had 2 kids. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Bray Wyatt.
To the
JoJo.
That puts him
and JoJo.
That's 4 kids total for him, right?
2 and 2, I believe. Yeah.
And 2.
I believe it's 2 and 2. Yeah, I could be wrong.
Congratulations, Bray and JoJo.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't want to agree with you guys because it's kind of boring.
Jimmy's not here. We agree.
So,
we're in unison, okay?
There's a difference between agreeing and being right.
True. Yeah. Sure.
We're all right.
Yeah. I mean, I would have to agree with you guys. I mean,
why don't you touch on the Edge and Orton match then, since we all agree? What is your thoughts on that, since none of us really talked about that match? Do you feel like this match that they're trying to promote is a makeup for that?
Probably, yeah. I mean,
100%.
it was a pretty boring match. I mean, it went on, I don't know, 13 minutes too long, at least. So, I mean, it wasn't a good match. I mean, for what it could have been, what it should have been, and the show that it was on, it just completely missed the mark.
Yep.
I mean, I get what the vision might have been, but I mean, it was like they were trying to hit a nail and they threw the hammer down the hill. Like they completely missed it. So yeah.
Why were they on a hill?
I don't know, because that's where they were. Who knows, man? I don't know where these people go. But anyway, T3 said they love the Boneyard match, but think that the Stadium Stampede had so much more going on, and that's what took the lead for them. And I mean, it.
There's no wrong answer.
No.
I mean, let's be honest. It's a fun time for wrestling because they were forced to do something different that we complained about for months and months and months. Do something different. And they did. They did something different because they had to. And they're all fun. And the fact that now even Impact is doing cinematic matches, I mean, come on. How could you not enjoy it right now? It's great. It's something different. I have wrestling matches and then have this. Looks like we're going to get another one with NXT.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So, all taking the Edge Orton match out of there. All 3 of those are good. I mean, I really think it's like a 3-way tie for first because I enjoyed each one of them in a different way. I mean, you know, they were all, for me, The Undertaker, I love him. He's one of my favorites, always been a favorite. And it wasn't the best, but I enjoyed watching it. the Firefly Funhouse was just like, what? Where did you even pull this out of?
Magnifique.
And just, you just dropped the mic on it.
Go little.
And then the Stadium Stampede was, I mean, just a little bit of everything and some more wrestling in it. That was all. But
Imagine what we could have had if they would have allowed Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt to combine those two crazy minds and just go.
yeah.
Just go create.
Yeah. So thank you to our three friends that put in some questions. Definitely, we'll always shout out some other podcasts here, but check out T3's latest one. They actually had a chance to talk to Cody Rhodes, which is a pretty big get,
It's a big get.
for people. So, go on YouTube, go on Twitter, track him down, check it out, have a listen.
After you listen to ours and subscribe.
Of course,
and
because
like
that's how
them.
they're really going to find out about them is by listening to us.
Yes,
But
that's
so yeah, so we have that. So AEW, I mean Tuesday night again with AEW was jam packed. I mean
their darks are been like
dark
holy
an hour and a
cow.
half of just wrestling, an hour and a half of wrestling like the last 2 weeks. I mean, for me, looking at like what happened, I mean, I don't think anything like really, for me, I don't think anything really stood out. Everything was good. It was good from top to bottom.
Yeah.
It was a solid night the whole time.
But for me, I thought the standout of the night was actually the Janela and Sonny Kiss match.
I knew you were going to say that. I was staring at that. I'm like, he's going to say Sonny Kiss.
I mean, that was I really thought that was a really good match. I mean, on both sides. I mean, you had Brady Pierce and John Skyler, and I think Skyler is wrestling this.
Who's the taller one?
I think it's Skyler.
Is it Skyler?
So. Yeah.
Dude, he's a big dude. Like
Yeah.
he's sizable. Like he's a big man.
And I think he's got another match coming up either in next week's Dark or something. But I mean, it was a really, really good match.
Yeah.
And with all the other talent that was wrestling that night, that one just, as much as I loved the Best Friends versus the Better Friends, if you don't know who the Better Friends are, it's Alan Angels and Sean Dean.
That's friend of the podcast.
Yes.
But the better friends of the podcast.
They closed the night, and that was a good match too. But I really enjoyed seeing how Janela and Sonny Kiss kind of played off of each other in the ring and some of the things that they both did. I thought it was a really well put together match from top to bottom.
Dark's been great. Dark's a well put together YouTube show. I'm a little bit concerned that they're going to move it to the new HBO Max because they've been pushing really hard HBO Max lately. And I get it. There's money there. Yeah. But I love the fact that I can just turn on YouTube and watch a ton of wrestling matches on a Tuesday night on Dark and go away, come back, watch some more of it, and really enjoy good wrestling that we've asked for. Again, we asked for it. We've been asking for it, and AEW's given it to us. So another proof that they listen to the fans.
Yeah, and then I don't know about y'all. I was, for the most part, a little upset with NXT on Wednesday. Just didn't.
Yeah.
Let me touch on what I liked. Maybe I'll do that first, then I'll let you gripe a little bit.
Drew Maverick, is that it?
Drew Maverick. So
Drake Maverick.
Yes. So I'm not going to talk about Drake Maverick because I don't know where they're going with this, so I don't want to say I like it or dislike it. I actually want to point out that the Keith Lee Mia Yim promo was a good promo and did a good job playing off the ridiculousness that's been the Gargano's promos. And I want to touch on how cool that Timothy Thatcher, Matt Riddle cage match was. Something we've never seen before in WWE. This weird cage that they created that they actually were able to fight not only on top but in the cage. They even put a spot in there where he lost his teeth. And Thatcher chokes out Riddle. Like, I thought all around that match was really well put together, even with Kurt Angle in it, which I thought was weird at first, but in general gave it a little bit of star power, and I thought it was a well put together match. I thought that was the highlight of the night for me, was that match itself. And beyond that, nothing really stands out. Shotzi Blackheart, thank goodness she's okay after that bump she took, but I don't know. I'm looking through the list right now, and
the
Tegan Knox delivering the pizza. I don't know, maybe that was the best part of the night. Otherwise, I love Tegan Knox.
The cage match was literally the only thing. The cage match and the cruiserweight stuff at the beginning. Other than that, it was basically, let's just throw some fillers out there and plug in your house.
Yeah.
All it was. And it was a slap in the face to Wednesday night, especially coming off of Double or Nothing on Saturday. They should have really brought it knowing Dynamite was going to be on to try to get people tuning in, and they didn't. And it's showing arrogance on the side of WWE to where the last couple weeks I've been paying less and less attention to NXT, and I didn't expect that to happen. I always try to catch both of them. Normally I watch NXT first, and this past week, other than the cage match, I've really just watched highlights because none of it. I went to start it and I read the run through of it, and it was just not worth watching.
The cage reminded me of like a prison yard, where you had the top where like you could walk around the top of it, and then like just the fences up. I mean, exactly. It looked like a prison yard.
It was cool, man.
And I think I texted to
Riddle to dive
Chris,
off of.
like when because I watched it on Thursday night. And I think he was asleep already. I texted him. I said, "This cage is awesome."
So if you haven't watched NXT from this week, just check out the cage match, and that's all you need to worry about.
Yeah, exactly.
Plugging it right now. Catch them on YouTube.
Yeah. So last thing we got on the agenda ish, AEW Dynamite Wednesday. We and I mentioned it earlier in the night. We realized that Mike Tyson still can't rip a shirt in half, but I'm not going to say that to the man's face. Not at all.
He will knock you out.
At all. Yeah, exactly. He will knock me out.
Let's move past the Tyson crap because it's.
It is what it is.
It's a publicity stunt. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
They know it. We know it. We all know it. It's a publicity stunt.
One of my favorite moments of the night was Orange Cassidy photobombing the promo. It was gold. I get it.
Yeah.
Did he just do that?
Yeah. Huh? But
what about Ortiz? Carlos is here.
It was a good solid night. Like they've been delivering over and over and over.
They know how to put on a show.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, I'm kind of excited for the idea of Jungle Boy and Cody having a match because I've been really impressed with Jungle Boy the last couple matches he's had. The one with MJF, and then he fought on Dark, right?
Yeah. He did. He beat Peter Avalon, who hasn't won yet.
No.
But still.
Which I like that gimmick.
Yep.
It just did good. And then everything with the Elite and Matt, they're letting Matt have some fun. They're letting him be in like the spot happy matches where he doesn't have to be the only one taking all the spots. Like it wasn't without Jeff, it was him when it came to anything he was in. I'm interested to see how they're going to run with Brian Cage.
It's a machine.
I'm going to leave it at that. At this point, with how they're booking Moxley, I don't think you have Cage coming to beat him. I think it's going to come down to Omega beating him.
Yeah. It goes back. It's a throwback. It's a throwback to what they originally started with, which was him dumping Omega onto that poker chip. I mean, that's the guy who takes it from Moxley.
Yeah,
it makes all the sense in the world.
I think you're gonna have a Hangman Page and him split. They're gonna have a match or two, and then it's gonna come down to Mox versus Kenny. And you're gonna have a driven Kenny Omega this time, and I think they'll put on a great handful of matches for the belt, and it'll be wonderful. I enjoyed the whole night, even the Britt Baker stuff. I kind of enjoyed this week.
Her conspiracy theory stuff.
This is the
was
one
funny.
time I'm gonna side with Britt Baker. It's that MFer Aubrey Edwards. He is behind it all. And you want to know what, Britt Baker? I haven't been behind you at all, but I 100% believe that it is Aubrey Edwards.
That's it. It's over. You know it's over when Britt Baker has won over Captain Chuckles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for that. But I was a little bit disappointed that it wasn't a PowerPoint. I mean, yeah, like these little flip charts, but a PowerPoint would have been better. You should have talked to Drew Gulak.
But the strings and everything make more sense with the conspiracy.
I did enjoy the strings.
The biggest part of the night where I missed the crowds was the debut. That would have been such a monster pop.
It popped.
Daly's
there was
place,
pop.
It was pop.
There was pop.
But if that crowd had anybody in it,
what was the final numbers? There was 870,000 people at home who watched that, who popped, and I heard it. I heard it when I was watching on TV because I was popping like crazy. Because
what is it? Fear the revolt, fuck the rest. Is that what they're?
Who knows? They got
FTR. It's FTR. It's whatever you want it to be. That's what it is. It's FTR.
Well, the shirt
My shirts will be here tomorrow. Not those shirts. I bought the other shirts from Pro Wrestling Tees, but that's fine. I will buy more shirts.
Speaking of Pro Wrestling Tees, have you seen the shade they're throwing at the Inner Circle and Chris Jericho?
Not shade. Not shade at all.
It was amazing.
That's the hustle, man. You got to have some hustle. So
and
they got all those
that partnership
shirts
a little bit though. That shows that was good. We're selling them for half price.
50% off.
That was good.
Yeah, the Inner Circle bit from Wednesday was funny, and that's all it needed to be, funny. Yeah. And they did a good job, and everybody plays their character really well. And yeah, FTR, man. Like I like the little. I don't know if it was a real tease or not. So there's a tease going on with Cody, right? And Cody talks about how he was not the first phone call that Tony Khan made, not the second phone call, not the third phone call. He was the fourth phone call. And it's the question of, is that a tease? Is that a 4 tease?
Well, who's number 4? Would it be him and Dustin and then them? I don't think you put Dustin in there.
I've had a couple conversations about this. Let's talk about who it could be, right? He's one. And if it's not the Elite, who the Elite going up against? Well, you got 2 guys that just showed up in FTR. So who could be that 4th guy? And my mind goes to a guy who would do some cowboy stuff, probably. That would make the most sense in the world. A guy who's been at war a little bit with the Bucks. So that would make sense as the 4th guy. Or you do a complete twist and a guy named Sean Spears, who's got Tully Blanchard with him, decides to make amends with Cody, and he becomes the 4th member. So I don't know if it's a real tease or not. They like to troll all of us, to be honest. They're great at it.
But the 4, like 4, that's synonymous when it comes to wrestling. You don't throw the 4 up without it meaning something.
Hockey number.
Could be, man. It could be. And I'd be all in, pun intended, for the Elite versus whatever this ends up being. And that's the way you break them apart, and that's the way you make a main event with the people that have always been the main people in AEW. So, good week of wrestling. I don't think there's much else to say than that. It was a good week of wrestling. AEW, to me, wins the week. They had a pay-per-view, so they had the lead from the beginning. But I think they
take the pay-per-view out, they still win the week.
They still win the week. I agree. I'm going to give Impact
SmackDown tonight. They still win the week.
Yeah, I'm going to give Impact a shout out. I think Impact had a great week. They're building something great. And I want to call out NWA for Carneyland, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, and I love it.
It's
I
brilliant.
totally forgot to watch Girl Power today at noon.
And Girl Power. Go watch. If you're not sitting at home going and finding content about wrestling, you're not a wrestling fan because it's everywhere. You can't not trip over it as you're just stumbling around YouTube looking at cat videos.
Yeah,
All of
man.
a sudden Carneyland pops up. All of a sudden Nick Aldis pops up.
Buy some Taco Bell and go watch some wrestling.
Yeah.
And if you want to know what the Taco
We're
Bell
gonna get a
reference
sponsor
is
one of
about,
these days.
Taco Bell.
You're gonna have to check back with us sometime next week. So yeah, think about it. Taco Bell.
So
The sauce. I love the sauce. I'm a fire guy. I'm a fire sauce guy. Sometimes Diablo, but definitely
that's why
fire.
red beard.
Exactly.
So I think that's all the time we got. I'm going to do the old hit the like, hit the subscribe. I'm sure Captain Chuckles over, where are you, Chuck? Up, down, left, right? Captain Chuckles will make sure to put all our handles out there. Please come follow us. Come talk to us. We're pushing those followers. We're pushing those subscribers. Our goal is to have a lot of subscribers so that we can have our own YouTube channel URL so we can put the Bald Monkeys in there. We're working on a lot of merch. Go check our link tree on any of our Twitter pages. You can go find some merch out there. I've been giving out merch to our fans that are doing all these things for us. Thank you to those fans. And be sure to tune in. We got something brewing for next week for you.
Ask us any kind of questions you want us to answer, either on Twitter or in an episode. I think it's becoming a big deal, our watch-alongs when it comes to pay-per-views. So if people would be interested in watching and hearing us, talk shit about it as it goes, let us know.
Come tell us we're wrong. We'll tell you why we're not. Thanks for listening. We'll talk again soon.